All right, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight to Das Machine Online. We've got a real special guest here tonight, Mr. Ronan Harris of VNV Nation. Unfortunately, he just moved studios, and so he has no camera. So you get this really snazzy picture I found of him on the internet.
I don't know what picture you're using. I'm kind of like fearful of this. I'm going to have to tune in and see this. But how's it ever? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody, wherever you are in the world.
We get people actually kind of from all over. The stupid light. I need to just stay on one.
You have this mood light going on. It's kind of it's freaking me out.
Yeah.
Hey.
So anyhow, how are things going over your side
Where?
of the pond?
Well, I've moved. I committed last year to moving office and studio. The place I was in, they weren't renewing the contract. So a buddy of mine who has a building company, he was renting a huge space in a brand new building and said, would you like to come in and share the space with me? And there was enough space for me to have set up my office again, and then like a big space for me to set up a studio. So having committed to that pre-virus, I've been working like in the basement where there is no signal whatsoever until we get the cell phone amplifier in, and it's been kind of liberating in a way to not have any contact with the outside world and just focus on bits and pieces. But I've been doing a lot of the work, bringing in experts where necessary. It's given me a great opportunity to redo a lot of things that I should have done in the last place. And I guess when everyone moves, they say, I can do it better next time. So a lot of power tools, a lot of cabling, a lot of soldering, a lot of fun like that. The office says, there's a camera somewhere in a box somewhere, and that's lost to forever. The rest is
some like Ronan pictures out there with like a big power drill, like just like. Be like the cover for like in the back image for like the next VNV, just Ronan there with like power drills just like this. Give a little bit of a Deadpool look with power drills.
Yeah. It's actually not a bad idea. I don't know about me looking like Deadpool. I look more like Uncle Fester with power tools. It's been fun. I've had to coordinate a lot of it with other people doing the bits and pieces, the technical bits and pieces, but absolutely, I'm more than happy. I've got the speaker set up, I've got the computer and everything set up, and I'm just on next week. It's all like cabling equipment up and getting the place up and running so I can start. I mean, I've already tested it out. Nobody can hear it outside, so that's the first thing.
Nobody gets to get that like preview of the next VNV album, essentially.
Or hearing annoying sub bass coming through the wall, the bad part stereo driving by,
I know I've been pissing off all my neighbors with all the bass that comes out when we do these shows. I'm just like, y'all just need to get over it because this is not stopping anytime soon.
I've had annoying neighbors where I've just basically taken the subwoofers and put them attached them to the ceiling and put on what the hell was, I think it was Brighter Death Now. Because they were just annoying, and it sounded like I was living underneath a herd of horses. I just basically left them with the joyous sounds of gratuitous amounts of sub bass.
I think so many of us have done stuff like that. Our marketing director and I used to be roommates years ago, and we had these guys that lived next door to us that like would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to work, right? And they'd be playing the Latino music, the boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom, and they'd have it like super loud. I'm on the other side, I could even hear it. So we started on Friday nights when we were leaving to go out to Numbers. We would take his speakers and put them up against the wall, and then put on the Prodigy "Smack My Bitch Up" on repeat, and then leave.
Beautiful. That's art. That is a piece of art. At the end of the day, you're providing a soundtrack for people. We're old enough to all remember when people would hand around mixtapes to each other. They were like, that was the way I got to learn about a lot of bands. I mean, that's how I learned about DAF. Somebody gave me a mixtape in 1981 at school and said, this guy from another school, his older brother, was into some very, very eclectic music. And he said, I'm sure you're going to like this. I don't like it, but I think you might. And it had DAF on it. And I went absolutely crazy about it because that was exactly my thing at the time. That's what I wanted to hear. You're acting as a curator of your sound, of the music that you like. If you played, and it's a criticism I have of a lot of, or I had of a lot of DJs, even playing our stuff back then, was that it was becoming like a set double CD that was being played every single time you went to the club. And I wasn't hearing new, and I even said, well, what I've done was new for a time, but surely there must be something else we can play. Surely there must be something else that gets heard that keeps people rolling and moving forward rather than becoming stuck in a rut.
Right. I mean, that's one of the biggest driving factors with us with DOS Machine.
Absolutely. Darren and I were talking this morning, and we were just like that. That's what the reason like it's so important to me being with DOS Machine. And we were talking about like on one of the formulas I use now on Dark Indulgence is trying to deliver people a sound, introducing people to music that they don't even know they like yet. And it's so awesome because when I look at the screen here, I see Danny, I see Darren, and it's like so amazing because there's these DJs around me that are the same way and so forward thinking. That's why I'm amazed every time I see on Facebook somebody says, "Oh, there's no good music that comes out anymore." And I mean, it's completely laughable. I mean, what closet have you been living in? Come on, man. It's all around.
We definitely don't play Dead Stars here, though.
There's I don't mind the song. I don't mind.
Inside joke. It's an inside joke that's been around with us since we did our first show at Elysium. And somebody came up and asked me, and I looked at him. I was like, "We don't play Dead Stars here."
Big chrome military fashion show, and then Dead Stars.
That's right. That's man. That was LA 2007 for me.
I think Darren's motto with that really what it ends up being is not so much about Dead Stars, and I can always take Darren saying that as the fact is that we're not predictable. When somebody comes to a DOS Machine, you're going to be introduced to something that you haven't heard before. If you don't really, and if they don't desire that, then we're not the venue. There's retro nights that do that.
Also, there's other songs by Covenant that are totally awesome.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I still to this day, I will, if I go back and listen to like a classic, it's Go Film or something like that. It's just, there are so many great songs and so many bands that I think most people have never even heard of or never will, because there was a heyday at one point when everybody got to hear about this, and then things have kind of tapered off. Where the hot new music scene is, when people say there's no new good music, I'm always playing stuff in my office or playing stuff on tour, and people are always asking, we're all asking each other, what's this? Because we all have very diverse or eclectic tastes, and we learn from each other. But I was in a bar in Hamburg where they run this like indie kind of dance nights. The place would be packed. My girlfriend and I would go to this bar, and we just loved it because it was just a whole other vibe and a whole other scene. It was something that it's another part of my life, another part of my music taste. They would play a bizarre mix of music, and I'm sitting there talking to her. We're just sitting at the side of this dance floor the size of a phone booth. We're just sitting there yabbering away. The selector's Too Much Pressure came on. And in the space of half a word, I was up and gone. I was mental about ska. Like when the sort of the second wave of ska came out, 78, 79, absolutely mental about it. I collected all the old 60s records, still crazy about it to this day. It's kind of like this is the first time I'm actually telling this in an interview.
Well, I'll say one thing. I mean, you're in good company. I'm still to this day still a fan of ska. I don't know. It was kind of like making that kind of mesh back to older music for me, like where you had like.
There's something wonderful that just like enlivens the spirit. I mean, when we.
Always a fan of album covers. I like receiving a physical copy, having it in my hand. It's kind of like an art masterpiece. I see a serious Art Deco influence in your stuff.
I was a fan of the American 30s has been an incredibly big influence on my life because it was an explosion in creativity. Aside from all the bad things that were going on in the country, it was the explosion in creativity where you took art movements that were happening in Europe and just ran with it and created a whole look for the country in the municipal buildings and some of the most beautiful architecture styles and what have you, and just being like leading the world in graphic design. I've always been a fan of, say, Art Deco, but the movement that I absolutely adore is what's known as Streamline Moderne, where you got these white sort of curved-edged houses and buildings and what have you. And the American, I guess what it would have been called the American imperial design of the 30s. And I absolutely adore that. I remember when I was when I was in Dallas, I think I was driving around with Joe or somebody else. I can't remember who it was. And they were driving me somewhere and I said, I need to stop here. And it was the old Power and Light building because it's this insanely beautiful Art Deco building. And I love getting the chance when I'm out on tour to see all these things, because those that do survive are for me, they're a work of art. Like,
you've hinted, of course, everybody knows you have so many influences in music, and over the years in interviews, you've hinted that if you ever did a side project, it would be with the music that's very different than VNV, that doesn't fit VNV. Do you expect to do that at some point, of a different project with music completely different?
well, let's see. Things that I've done. I sang Nemesis with a hardcore band, with a progressive hardcore band in Hamburg, who did a cover version of Nemesis that was just insane in their rehearsal room, which I absolutely loved. It was one of the greatest experiences. I wanted to do, with an old school punk band here in Hamburg, I wanted to do a video where we basically played Chrome, but old school punk style. The song that I would love to do in an old school punk style would be Streamline, because if you can imagine that being played by the Buzzcocks, it's probably the most old school punk song, the way it's played, the chord changes, the way the delivery is, and everything like that.
Which one do we do with ska?
Oh, I could.
Space and Time.
Oh my God. Actually, well, When Is the Future is actually is kind of like half reggae, kind of going into ska. I used to kind of like slow walk, doing a bit of my Rankin Roger kind of like stroll across the stage during When Is the Future, and I don't think anyone really noticed that I'd kind of hidden a ska beat in the track. And I've done I've done a couple of other Cole Porter songs, and Irving Berlin songs and stuff like that. And that would be a possibility. I've just never really gotten around to it. I keep saying that these things I would love to do, but there's a myth about me that I can put some fact behind. Back in the Power Noise days, I did a Power Noise album under another name, because I didn't want people to look at it as though this were VNV. I didn't want them to equate the two or form any connection. I wanted them to hear it in its own right. And to this day, no one knows which album it was and who I was. And I will.
Wow, that's awesome.
It will go with me.
Ones you're like, I'm taking that to the grave.
Yeah, exactly what I was about to say. There's a band actually from Austin who I absolutely adore. An ambient artist called Hammock. Absolutely mental fan of Hammock. And I own every single record they have ever put out. And that is a lot. This is my bug out music. This is like my trippy music that I listen to when we're driving in a van. I would absolutely love nothing more than to work with these guys, or even just to, they're an artist I would walk up and probably get down on a knee and shake their hand for all they've done for me.
See,
but
I would love to see Lindsey Sterling come and play violin to your stuff.
That'd be incredible. That is
that girl, I'm fucking hooked. Let's do it. Let's just hit the fucking reset button and start over.
I hope we all get to meet up in a couple of years and look back on this and laugh about it, or hope that things went well. I see there's a lot of positive happening, a lot of good changes. Let's hope they stick. But what I wanted to finish up on one little positive note, since this is an interview with me, and I just have to be VNV Nation. So I've built a new studio, right? So I've been writing an album for the last, say, 6 months in my head, as I always do, and I write down notes and I sing melodies into my phone and what have you. I'm looking at an album for the end of the year.
Awesome.
Y'all heard it here first, I think.
Yeah, actually, this is kind of a premiere, because I haven't really said this to anyone else. But, your friend who was asking, when are we coming back to the US? As soon as humanly possible. I think there are a lot of changes in the entertainment business in the US, more so than here, where all of the big agencies and the big, the ticket agencies and the booking agencies and then the agencies who own all the clubs have all kind of sort of ganged together, and they want to change the rules of the game, which is going to make it very, very hard for artists. It all ends up being capitalism and sort of like share price, rather than this is about entertainment. I think it's got to, for a lot of the alternative industry, it's going to have to move back to local promoters if people have those, those funds to put on shows. Because I can't. Yeah, it's and I'm playing numbers. It falls in neatly into that plan. I mean, I loved. We played in Austin. We played at Elysium, and I absolutely loved the show. I love what you do, and I'm sorry I have to call this to a close, but it's almost 11, and it's 11 o'clock in the evening here. I don't want to be showing up with like big rings in my eyes and going, "Oh man, are you okay?" Like, yeah, man, it's just Texans.
We have a tendency. Thank you so much for giving us so much of your time. it's an honor to be able to have you on our show, and to talk about like the stuff that we talked about. Like, I mean, I'm talking with the guys before. I'm like, that's this and that's this, and this has turned into like a million times better than I had even had it in my head of what we were going to do. And so I really do appreciate you being
I
here.
was expecting, like, what's your favorite color? And if you were a Taylor Swift song, which song would you be?
I think with us it'd be more like, if you were a Ministry song, what song would you be? But
well, you know, I'll just add to in closing that as music's carried me through a lot through the years and years that I've been playing music, but I have to say that your music has definitely made my life better. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Ronan, for being part of this and with us, and we're looking forward to seeing you in Houston again. I know last time me and Scott were together when you came through the last time, and it was great to see your performance and all the Houston people loving it, because it was for Hurricane Harvey that came through, and you had to cancel that one show.
We were there with Mina, actually. We were the very last ones to walk out that night.
Yeah, we were with you till the end of the night.
I got a memento from that gig in Houston, because I did the autograph meet and greet thing after, which I love doing. But I got a coin given to me by a Marine.
I saw her give it to you. We watched.
Oh my God! I have a picture. I took a picture of that, of her giving it to you.
If you know me, I have boxes of mementos that I dig out every now and again, every time I move, and I will go through them all, and I remember every single one. I've had people giving me their ID, and I'm thinking, why are you giving? I don't need this. And one guy, he gave me his military ID. I'm like, I don't want this, and he's like, no, I want you to have it. And he was drunk, and he came to me the next night, and I pulled it out and handed it to him, and he went, thank you. And I went, good, because you got to get back on base, and I don't want you explaining this.
I gave it to this Irish guy.
Irish guy showing up at the base like, no, it's me, with a fake mustache on or something like that. But it's incredibly overwhelming when people give you these gifts. And I'm trying to remember the name.
We have a gift for you, actually. Obviously, we won't be able to get it to you until after we can change stuff again. I'm actually wearing one of them. So we're going to send you one of our DOS Machine Texas t-shirts.
Awesome. We'll coordinate that via email, Skype, and what have you. But listen, right. It's been a pleasure. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, look after your friends, look after everybody, and we'll see. We'll meet again sooner. I hope, than later.
All right, there we go. All right, DOS Machine Online. That was the man, Mr. Ronan Harris of VNV Nation. We're going to get back to the music now with Scott Durand. And Scott, you got a little something that you're going to drop, right?
Yeah, we're doing Beloved.
All right. All right, we're going to get back to the music now. Thank you again, Ronan. We'll see you guys later.
A static sky. It's a beautiful dream. It's a beautiful life. It's just a missing from the past. We're searching for something that can never satisfy. The reality of answers when lives are on the line. I waited a lifetime for the age of wonder, a place that I remember in a splinter of time. A stranger in a strange land, caught in the flow, still searching for answers among the neon lights. It's a beautiful dream, it's a beautiful life. It's just a reflection, a world that must survive. We're children of the past, who look beyond today, designing the present. So when is the future? We live in a dream, keeping visions alive. It's just a reflection, a world that never dies. The image we create, our image we design. It's a beautiful life. So when is the future? It's a beautiful dream, it's a beautiful life. It's just a reflection, a world that must survive. We're children of the past, who look beyond today, designing the present. So when is the future? We live in a dream, keeping visions alive. It's just a reflection, a world that never dies. The image we create, our image we design. It's a beautiful life. So when is the future?
This is your world. These are your people. You can live for yourself today or help build tomorrow for everyone.
Das ist deine Welt. Das sind deine Mitmenschen. Du kannst heute für dich leben oder für alle die Zukunft von morgen aufbauen.
C'est ton monde. Ce sont tes gens. Aujourd'hui, tu pourrais penser qu'à toi ou aider à construire un lendemain pour tous.